purpose for today's piece. This is another iteration, if you will, of what started out as the new person's reception. And, you know, that's been going on for quite a few years at the last Sunday of the month. And just a few months before we went into the current COVID-19 virtual operation, we opened it up and wanted to have a congregational meeting. It was one of the efforts that the board had wanted to move forward with in terms of being more available, to be able to receive input from people, you know, have that ongoing conversation between congregants and the board so that everybody's informed. The board's informed of what's going on with the congregation, and the other way around as well too, that the congregation is knowledgeable about the activities and efforts of the board and the leadership of the church. So we realized, you know, initially thinking that, okay, this was going to be a very temporary situation for these virtual operations. Looks like it's going to last for a little while longer. And so the idea came forward of, well, let's do this in a virtual format as well too. And I think that we'll see how it goes, and we'll adapt and, you know, move forward with it. So that's the genesis for this idea. And again, I'll ask anybody that's not talking right now, if you could please mute your device. At the bottom of your screen on the left, there should be a mute and unmute button that you can use, or if our moderator, Tammy, if you could mute folks for right now, just so that we don't have the distractions. I would like to start off with a prayer just to move us into this time. So I'll invite everybody to just close your eyes for a moment and take a breath and relax, and just move into that inner space, that place of inner depth, peace, serenity, stillness, steadfastness, security, inspiration, and abiding love that rests within all of us at our core, at our essence. And from this place, I just want to say I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this church, our community, our consciousness, our congregants, our volunteers, our staff, our board, all the leadership, everything that's taken place within our congregation for an extended period of time now and delivered us to this moment. Everything that's going on in the world right now, everything that's happening for us. I'm so grateful for it. I'm grateful for Rick's message today, this consciousness of us being divine, being in communion with that, and moving forward as co-creators. And we're continuing to do that. This conversation itself represents the opportunity for that again. And so with that knowledge, I set that forth into a field of unlimited potential with gratitude, joyousness, and expectation of amazing things. And so it is, and so I let it be. Amen. So I'll head into the meat and potatoes piece that will provide for discussion and questions and dialogue in the breakout sessions. The first one is with Dr. Ras. You know, as everybody's aware, you know, he suffered a health setback on the 4th. He started feeling under the weather and in short order developed a fever. And that was on the 4th, and on the 6th, he was in the hospital. They tested him multiple times for COVID, and all of those came back negative. Ultimately, it came back with a pneumonia diagnosis, and subsequently, he started receiving treatment, and he was back home as of day before yesterday to his temporary RV home here in Hudson Bend area. Tina, his wife, flew down Thursday of that week as well, and has been here, and the church has been supporting her as she's been here to support him. I did have a chance to speak with him for the first time. I was trying to leave him alone so he could just focus on getting better. And we had a great conversation yesterday. He was I wouldn't say 100% there, but 95%, in terms of energy and the Ras that we know and have already fallen in love with, presence. And so we talked about his situation and so forth. In looking at what is down the road for him, he probably has a number of weeks of recovery. That coupled with, his ongoing cancer treatments puts him at a pretty vulnerable place with regard to the COVID-19 virus. And he had discussed this with Tina, his wife, and elected to submit a letter of resignation to the church. And yeah, I know it's a disappointment. Absolutely. But when I first got the letter from him, I wanted to make sure that that's really where he wanted to go. And because he was still a little out of it when he wrote it. And so I called Tina and we talked about it. And yes, he needs to do this for himself and for his family. And so I moved quickly into that space of, we need to support Ras and Tina doing the right thing for themselves and their family. And so we fully support that. I fully support them doing what they need to do with the full knowledge that Unity Church of the Hills is going to be provided with exactly the messaging and the leadership that we need to be able to continue to move forward. And so in that process, the first things that we can do is pray. Is pray for Ras, pray for their family, pray and see them being complete and whole and healthy, and continuing on with their lives. The wonderful piece about this is that we're still talking about doing things together with Ras when the time is appropriate. There were, especially the inner child work was something that we really liked. And he has some passion around that and bringing it forward in a virtual format. So we're going to continue to pursue that with him and continue, he's now a part of the church community. The other thing we'd spoken about, and I talked to Tina about this, was, what can we do sort of in the more physical plane to support them? I asked him, I said, do you need food, meals? He said, well, we're pretty well provisioned for right now, but maybe in a short time. And so talked to Shonda briefly about, being a coordinator for a meal train or something like that. And Tina is going to just let us know when they're, that will be helpful to them. And so we'll be able to provide that level of support. And so we'll continue to keep you aware of that and so forth. They're going to be in town until the 31st. And then his son is flying down to drive the RV back up to Colorado, where he'll continue to convalesce. So that's basically where things are with Dr. Ras. As far as our community and the messaging and the services and so forth, we have such a strong laity for right now. The board is already, Thursday night, we met and started discussing about options moving forward, and we're exploring those. For right now, like I said, we've got such a strong laity, we'll be able to continue to, enjoy and experience the messages that we've had. Like Rick's message today was just phenomenal. And so we'll continue to move forward in that vein, looking at other alternatives, expecting some guest speakers to come in as well, too. We're talking about that as well. So there's going to be a lot of different things happening in short order. And of course, all this is coupled with the ministerial search, which I'll get into in a little bit. I'd like to kind of switch courses right now and go back over and for anybody here that wasn't a participant in the session that we did last week after the service, that's online, and you can go to our website and find it. Maybe Tammy can post that link in the chat at some point. So that people can go and look at that. So I'm not going to repeat everything I talked about last week, but our reopening committee is still staying active, and we're constantly looking at services and the We Wisdom School, also small groups, and trying to facilitate those. And then the last piece is we've been approached to be a polling station, and we're looking into the feasibility of that, if we can do that. And so those are some things that are going on. But we're constantly trying to keep our finger on the pulse of what's appropriate with regard to reopening, and we'll continue to keep you updated on that as things change. Like to move on to finances now. Again, I discussed last week the PPP and some mortgage things and things we're doing to address cash flows during the COVID crisis. And you can go look online and see those pieces from last week. But I did put forward kind of where we were and what we needed to do to move forward in a sustainable way. And what that looked like was that we needed to increase our giving to the church by 25%. And if all of us collectively did that, we would be able to meet expenses. And what I can report back is that, since the messaging has gone out along those lines over the past few weeks, we are seeing an improvement. And we're seeing an improvement in our cash flows. And I'm very optimistic and want to express gratitude to our community for stepping up. Every time we put out the call, our community has responded. And the nice thing about this is that we're able to do it in a preemptive way, whereas in the past we've always been a little reactive around that. We knew that we were good for a while, and we just let you know this is what we need to do for us to be able to operate sustainably into the future. And so that's working out very well. I'd also like to talk a little bit about the healing work that I mentioned last week. We're going to continue to provide opportunities. The piece with Roger Teal, his Bridges to Breakthrough work, originally we were thinking that was going to happen on August 30th. It's been moved back now to September 13th, I believe. Tammy, was that it? The September, okay, all right, I was just looking for a nod. And then again, we've also talked about Ras doing his inner child work as well. And so there are pieces around that. I touched base with the congregant who asked a question about, the departure of the Grandins last week. And there was a request for, why can't we just have some sort of final statement about that? I have to say that the board at the time, which we have a different board now, and we're about ready to have another one through our elections. The board and the Grandins could not meet on what we needed to do as a church in terms of management and operations. And there were a lot of things that were done along those lines, but at the end of the day, we couldn't agree. And we also tried to work together on how to do a gentle departure. And at the end of the day, we couldn't agree. And so there was that sudden departure, and I wish it could have gone some other way, but it was what it was. And what we do want to do is know that we want the best for everybody involved, our congregation and the Grandins. And so we continue to hold the highest and best vision for them in their walks. We love them and we want to support them in what is theirs to do. But we find ourselves again at another place with a sudden departure of a minister that was unexpected. And there's an emotional cost to that. I have to say, I'm an engineer. I'm kind of that technical kind of person, but we all feel that. And so we're going to need to respect those emotions around this and navigate through that together. And I know we can, and we're going to provide those opportunities. And, one of the things that Rick mentioned today was this idea of being open towards, forgiveness and being open towards creativity and our greater divinity. And as we provide these opportunities, I just want to encourage everybody, and myself included, that we continue to do the work so that we show up to our church and participating in it as it is today, because I want to be present in the full in this moment fully.
Okay, here he is.
We all have an opportunity to do that. If you could please mute thank you. So there's going to be upcoming opportunities around that. The last thing I wanted to touch on was the ministerial search. We have now 3 teams. We have leadership for the teams, and I'll actually go ahead and throw up on the screen here. We have the ministerial search team, where we have 10 members of that team. Our team lead or chair on this is going to be Sandra Vela. We also have James Nolan is going to be our co-chair. Bob Withrow, Courtney Poole, John Fleming, Kelly Glover. Rick Busby and Ravina Jackson have all also agreed to serve as team members. And then we also have our board representative, Mary Spangberg. And then lastly, Neil Feiereisel, who is our former chair of the team when we were doing our last search, is going to function as a consultant to provide historical reference information and context and guidance and experience. And I just want to say I'm blown away by this list of people and really excited and inspired at what this group is going to be able to do, and grateful for them being willing to serve as well. It's a lot of work, and I think we've got an amazing team. The next team, and I'm going to, I guess, have to go, I don't know, I guess Microsoft PowerPoint doesn't do that, so I will just do it this way. Can you all see the promotion team piece? Yes. Okay, we also have a promotion team, and this team's going to be led by our Kim Grimes. We have Amy Keeler, Brian Anderton, and Joni Rain are going to be team members. We also have our board rep will be Laura, and then we have a staff rep on this team, Shannon Hamilton. Again, another amazing crew of people, and I'm really excited. And this team's going to focus on those pieces that are necessary to get the word out. To let the world know who we are and what we are in this amazing community, and really open up and be able to cast a broad net out there. And so I'm super excited.
Frank, don't forget Sherry Ross is also on there as a board rep.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed Sherry Ross. Yes, we have 2 board reps on that. Thank you. And then the last team, and certainly not least, because this is the consciousness holding crew. Not that everybody else isn't, but this is going to be the sole focus of this team. And we've got Julie McClendon is going to be our chair. Linda Holmes will be the co-chair. Elda Acevedo, Jody Morgan, Julie Perkins, Lou Goodwin-Mark, and Tim Wright are all team members as well. And then we have our board rep, Debbie Tam, and Jennifer Chavez will be our staff representative on this team. And this team is, like I said, going to be the keeper of the flame, and consciousness around this will be creating affirmative prayer around our ministerial search and our consciousness in that process. And so I'm so grateful that we've got this group of folks that are going to support us in consciousness and prayer. And coupled with the other teams, we have 24 people working on that effort. And so it's an amazing group, and I'm super excited to be able to share that with you, and looking forward to all of the good that's going to come out of that. So I think that was everything that I had on my list to discuss at this point. At this juncture, I would like to ask if any of the other board members have anything that they would like to add to what I have already discussed before we move into breakout sessions.
I just want to say that Frank has been a stellar leader in all of this, and has functioned so well and has such great consciousness around everything that we are doing, that it has been an honor to be able to serve with you and the leadership. I just have so much faith in him. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
I agree with Ellen, and I think in this time of change, with the virus, with all the challenges that we face, I think unity has a chance to break into a whole new future, a future that we would not have seen, but we have the confidence in knowing that Spirit is leading us forward. So rather than wade in the water in the past, we're moving toward a new future that with confidence. And I'm just excited about that.
Thank you, Art. All right, well, if we don't have any other input from the board members, I think we can go ahead and move into the chats. And I haven't done this before, so I have no idea what this is going to look like. So we're off on an adventure.